All right, guys, welcome. It is Wednesday, February 15th. We've got a great message lined up. We got Mr. Tariq, Mr. Sikander here, giving us a message here on the mindsets of scheduling, habits, atomic habits, habit stacking. I won't spoil it, but hey, I'm going to go and spotlight you. Go and take it away.
Awesome. I hope you guys are having a great team meeting thus far. I made a little slide deck, which I don't do too often. So let's make sure it works here. All right. Perfect. Question mark. There we go. Okay. Getting my Zoom thing figured out here. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So my little spiel today is going to be on building habits and commitment to your schedule. Okay. I feel like we do a decent amount of talking about just making a schedule, right? But what I've seen is that the making of the schedule isn't necessarily the toughest part, right? It's actually committing to what you write down. And a lot of that has to do more so with building habits than just writing a schedule out. Okay. My first slide is just going to show you my schedule. Okay. Lindley, don't get a heart attack because there is a lot of white space on it. And the reason being is because I have two separate systems. I have my schedule where I put a lot of just my rocks and things that have a location. And then I also have a to-do list. Okay. So, and I'll talk about how I habit stack from my to-do list and how I implement that into my schedule as well. Okay. So here's my schedule. Okay. This is just for this week. Again, a lot of white space. Okay. Because a lot of what is in there is pretty much just my rocks. So things that I can't move or the things that I set in place with like my roommates or something like that, such as the gym, right? If we pre-plan that, I put that in there in the white space, right? But I have a lot of white space there because I also have, I'll pull it up for you guys. A lot of my things are right here on my to-do list. My phone wants to load today. Oh, wow. It wants to act up when I need it. So I also have a to-do list, right? And then I have my schedule. Okay? And again, I'll talk about how I stack habits well with that. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about habits. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about does come from this book, Atomic Habits. So please, it's a very worthwhile investment. A lot of the things that it talks about, I was non-consciously already doing, and then being conscientious of it just makes it that much more influential in my day-to-day. So a habit is a behavior that's repeated enough to become automatic with the purpose of solving life's issues with little energy and effort. Okay. And habits compound, guys. Habits compound, which means that it's not linear, right? Just because you make a change does not mean that it's going to have that immediate benefit, right? They compound. Think about ice melting, okay? From say 0 degrees to 31 degrees, you're increasing that temperature, but the ice is going to stay frozen, right? At 32 degrees, however, it's going to start melting. So that's how habits compound. It might take a little bit to see that, to see those results. And those can work for you or work against you. Okay, so it's the same thing. Like if you have negative habits, they're going to compound against you. If you have positive habits, they're going to compound for you. Okay. What I want to do really quickly and make sure that you guys have your notes out is I want to make what's called a habit scorecard. Okay. And a habit scorecard is the first thing that I did that was actionable through this book. And pretty much what I want you guys to do is I want you to, let's go through your morning. Okay. So let's just write out every action that you did from morning, let's say to midday, somewhere around there. And I want you to put a plus next to something that you did that was positive and a negative next to something that was either not positive or neutral. Okay. So say for myself, for example, right? I woke up, I hit snooze, big no, right? So I would put hit snooze down with a negative. I only hit it once though, Jacob, don't be too disappointed. I only hit it one time. Then I'd say I got up, brushed my teeth. So I'll put a plus next to that. Then I went into my room, I stretched, plus next to that, journal, plus next to that, Champs Club, plus next to that, right? So you see how that works. Or if you like rolled over, checked your phone, right? Scrolled on your phone, that would be a negative, right? So just go through, take a second here, just make sure that you're getting that down, and then next to it or under it, what habits do you want to develop? So I want to focus on a morning routine for now, just because we don't have forever. There's so many habits that you can build throughout your day, right? But I want to focus just on the habits of the morning for now. So my goal here is to give you guys a framework for building a morning routine. Okay. So what habits do you want to develop? What is it? Getting out of bed and meditating? Is it having a stretch routine in the morning just to get a little bit of motion? Is it, hey, I want to have 3 glasses of water to start my morning? And it doesn't have to be one. It doesn't have to be one, right? Like I want you to write them out. What habits do you want to develop? Things like reading, going to the gym. So I'll give you guys, say like 30 more seconds because I do just want to move here. But what habits do you want to create? Continue working on that. I'm going to move on here. So now I'm going to talk about outcome-based versus identity-based. Okay. This is what I like to call subconscious framing. Okay. Outcome-based is very much focused on what you want to achieve versus identity-based is focused on who you want to become. Right? And here's some examples of this. Who's ever said like, oh, I'm bad with names? Right? You identify yourself as someone that's bad at names. So subconsciously, you're probably not going to remember the next like name that you get of the person that you meet, right? Something for me personally, throughout school, I didn't like reading. I did not like reading. So I would just say, I'm not a reader. Build a negative connotation with reading subconsciously, okay? So identity-based habits begin by putting an identifiable label on yourself so that you take actions based on who you want to become, not what you want to achieve. So with this book, right, I could say, I just want to read the book, right? I'm not a reader, but I want to get through the book. That's an outcome-based habit or an outcome-based goal. Versus if I have this book, right, and then I say, I'm a reader. Huge difference there subconsciously, right? Now I'm a reader, and now subconsciously I'm thinking, what do readers do? They read, right? So that's how you frame this. It's the same thing with going to the gym, right? Like, oh, I would like to make it like there once a week. Like I don't really go to the gym, but I'm gonna try. That's outcome based versus, yeah, I go to the gym. And then you start treating yourself as someone who goes to the gym, and then you start going to the gym and acting as who those athletes or whoever identify themselves as those people, what they do. Now I want to talk a little bit about system setting. Okay? Everyone talks about goal setting, right? But this is a little different. This is a lot different. This is how you get to those goals. Goal setting talks about who do I want to be and what do I want to do or need to do, right? Everyone talks about goals, but not a lot of people talk about systems. I want you guys to take a second and just think about this. Winners and losers have the same goal, right? Winners and losers have the exact same goals, whether that be in athletics and say for Cutco, right? Maya and I are running a branch office. Both of our goals is to win silver cup. Newsflash, one of us is not going to hit it, right? So winners and losers have the same goals. The difference is system setting, not necessarily goal setting, right? Because you don't rise to the occasion. I'm sure you guys have heard this. You fall to your highest level of preparation. one of the best ways to system set is to have implementation intentions, which is making the way to get to your goal obvious. Right? If you guys saw on my schedule, practically every event that I had on there had a time, obviously, because it's a schedule, but it also had a location. Okay. So timing and location are huge when it comes to sticking to your goals. Okay. I am going to do this at this time at this place. Okay. It makes it much more obvious. It holds you more accountable. Okay. So goals are the who and what, systems are the when, where, and how. Okay. So again, goals are the who and what, systems are the when, where, and how. And I'm sure I want you guys to look at those habits that you want to build that you wrote down and start thinking of when and where. Okay, so look at that for a little bit. Think about when and where. Okay. This is probably my favorite slide because this is where I can explain to Lindley why I have white space in my schedule. So this is called habit stacking. This is something that I use to implement my to-do list into my schedule. Okay. Who's ever noticed that like peanut butter and jelly are always right next to each other in the grocery store, even though they're not really alike, right? They're not alike, but they're associated with each other. Okay, it's the same thing. I read the chapter on this about a week ago, and it was right after I had taken a shower, and then because I had taken the shower subconsciously, I did my laundry. People do this subconsciously already, right? But habit stacking, becoming aware of habit stacking will help you specify the things that you want to do, but it gives it a very specific cue, which makes it immediately actionable, similar to like what I do with my morning routine, right? So the framework for habit stacking is after I blank, I will blank. Okay, so that has a lot to do with my schedule and my to-do list, right? So I'm just going to take you guys back to my schedule here, and let's talk about Tuesday. That was yesterday. Okay, so right here, Key Staff Champs Club. I have a big gap here before my class, right? But I have my to-do list right here. I got 2 video lectures done. Okay, so in the morning when I journal, I actually do my habit stacking journal. Okay, and I look at my to-do list and I look at my white space in my calendar and I say, after Champs Club, I will do X, Y, and Z until then. Right. And the reason that I don't just throw it into my schedule right away is because those things can float around and I actually look like to see where the spaces are a little larger, things of that sort, and fit the time that I need. So I definitely can throw them into my schedule, but usually I do that the morning of. And so sometimes I put them in after the fact, but usually that's just my schedule that I'm looking at it for the day. Okay. So again, habit stacking is really, really great for a morning routine. Okay. So this one I want you guys to write out with the habits that you want to build. Okay. So, and these have to be very specific. It's not just I want to do 10 push-ups around lunchtime. That's not specific, right? We want a place and a time. So if you want to do 10 push-ups around lunchtime, right? And you're usually working at your desk before lunch, right? Say, after I finish my work before my lunch break, I will do 10 push-ups beside my desk before getting lunch. It makes it very specific. That's what I do in my mornings, right? So now in my mornings, when I get out of bed, I have, and after I brush my teeth, I will do my stretch routine on my yoga mat, which is right behind me actually. And then my next phase is after I stretch, I will journal at my desk. And usually Jacob and Maya see me journaling when I hop on champs. And so now you start associating one with the other. You start associating waking up with brushing your teeth, with stretching, with journaling, with Champs Club. And you start getting into that routine, and you're like a spatula spreader of habits, right? You're spreading them together. Okay. So that's habit stacking. That's what helps me take my to-do list and implement it into my schedule of rocks. Does everyone have one or two after I blank, I will blank? Put down a couple, right? If you want to do some more push-ups. I know Carlos had a push-up goal a couple weeks ago. So after I blank, I will blank, and make them uber specific. Now I'm just going to move on a little bit. This is my last one that I'm going to be talking about for today, and then I'll open it up a little bit and we'll have some shares. Okay. Environment is huge. Okay. Behavior is a function of a person and their environment. Okay. Live and work in environments filled with productive cues. Okay. That's why, remember one time I hopped on Champs Club and I was in the Oak Brook office, and Jacob was like, "Oh, whoa, I didn't know that you were there." I was like, "Yeah, I could have been at home in my bed on Champs, but I knew that I had to be present here. I had an interview, and then I had lectures, and I had assignments to do. So I made the drive out because it's a productive environment, and we learn to associate environments with habits. Okay. One of the biggest ways to think about this is there was a study done, and this is again straight from Atomic Habits. There was a study done that about 20% of the military force in Vietnam were heroin addicts. Okay? But when they came back home, even though they were addicted, they gave it up like it was nothing. And that's the complete opposite when you see people go to rehab for drug use and they're completely clean there, and then they come home and they relapse. Right? So it doesn't have to do with self-control and discipline necessarily. It has a lot to do with environment, because we are living around cues. It's the same reason, a little more of like what we might see on the day-to-day is if you have a bag of chips or like a bunch of cookies out, you might just walk past and grab one, right? Not necessarily that's something that you would do if they weren't there. Okay? So habits associate with context surrounding the behavior. And it's easier to build habits in new environments versus fighting old cues, right? And it's also easier to avoid temptation than to fight it. So if right now you associate your bed with like watching Netflix, try to maybe move your Netflix watching somewhere else and only associate your bed with sleep. Right? Turn your phone off before you get in bed. Only associate your bed with sleep. Same thing with my couch. I associate my couch with Netflix, right? So I'm trying to reassociate it with reading. So I'll take my book out there and I'll read on the couch. That's the reason that I use this desk for work only. I don't take my work to my bed because then I know I'm going to start slacking off. Just like I said, my yoga mat's right behind me. I roll it out before I go to bed every night so that in the morning, there's that cue. Okay? Self-control is short-term, not long-term. Right? You can only fight temptation for so long. Right? So self-control is short-term, not long-term. So those are a lot of what I have today, and these can obviously be very much implemented into number one, your schedule as far as habit stacking goes, because habits compound, right? So start rewriting your habits as identity-based habits. Start vocalizing them as identity-based habits, right? If you want to start reading, call yourself a reader, then do what a reader would do, right? Make systems for your goals. So have the where, the when, and the how, not just the who and the what. Okay. Habit stack. So again, this is great for routines. After I blank, I will blank. Okay. And then make sure that you have a productive environment, because our brains subconsciously associate environment with action. Okay. So whether that's having a specific desk for where you work, leaving your bed for only sleep, rolling a yoga mat out to make sure that you have that cue, right? Make sure that your environment has productive cues. Okay. So that's my spiel. I do want to get some shares of things that people have written out. I would love for it to just open up and for people to share what they've gotten from it. And so I will take hands. Carlos.
Awesome. Oh, you're mid. The biggest thing that I took away was I'm not sure if you worded it this way, but our brain associates environment with actions. So like being in a productive environment and it's well, I don't know how to phrase it, but being in a productive environment, like for example, coming to the office or coming to Oprah's office in order for you to be more productive, or stepping away or using your couch for reading instead of Netflix. So now you associate that action or a more productive action with the location that you're on, was the biggest takeaway that I took. So I don't want to take too many from other people. So that's my biggest one.
Awesome. Yeah, environment is huge. That's I got asked for my branch if I would get am I lagging? Is all good? Okay. So I got asked for my branch if I wanted to do it from home or from an office. This was in Cabo. It wasn't like Jacob asking me, because he wouldn't ask that kind of question. But I said, yeah, obviously an office, because I know what I'm going to have in my office. I'm going to have like a dream board, a goal board, systems board, right? I'm going to have my vision board, and it's going to be a productive environment, right? So yeah, Carl's environment is genuinely everything when it comes to habit building. I think Dominic was next.
All right. First off, thank you, Tariq. I don't know if for those of you who don't know, I went to Oleam with Tariq and we shared a room, and just having those conversations with him, you're awesome, man. You just really push yourself to be better. And even then, we had some conversations where you sort of talked to me about building better relationships and doing better. So thank you again. But yeah, since I already actually just happened to do the scorecard this morning, I'm going to show people what it sort of looked like for me, more completely done. So as you can see, I have a ton of stuff. It was my entire day I had mapped out. And so, yeah, I just went through everything. It was either positive, negative, or neutral. And the biggest thing, I think Tariq mentioned this, is just pointing it out and more so just recognizing it so that then you can be aware of it and act on it. So, yeah, that was something. And also habit stacking. I hadn't gotten to that part, but I got to start writing it on, and I'm a little ahead now. So thank you, Tariq.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is huge. That scorecard is massive, because on key staff, we do something where if we don't hit our goals, we have something that we give up, right, for the following week. Okay. And part of that habit scorecard was I told Jacob, like, oh, I'm gonna give up Netflix, right? If I don't hit my goals. And something that I did when I made that card was like, why am I waiting until it impacts my goals in a negative way? Let's just take it off. Right. So that's what that habit scorecard is for. It's to address those negative habits that you have, vocalize them so that you can address them. And yeah, exactly what Jacob said, be proactive. Jada.
First of all, such a good job. Good job, Tori. And then the biggest thing that I took away is definitely habit stacking, because the system setting, when you were talking about having like the location and the time at like a specific time, is something like I recognize I just started doing. So like coming back from year end banquet, I started going to the gym and mass back at college, but I like set it into the schedule at like a time. So I definitely see like the fit of the system setting rather than the goal setting. And then the habit stacking, like bettering my morning routine of breath exercises and stretching in order to avoid going on my phone. So I wrote down, like, after I stop my alarm, I will do breath work, and then after breath work, I will do daily stretching. So thank you. And then, like, that's also like an avoidance of a negative.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, habit stacking is probably my favorite thing right now. It is uber beneficial because just like an environment associates subconsciously with habits, so do other habits, right? So they build up on each other.
Yeah, and you saying you lay out your yoga mat so you can't avoid it. Gotta get one of those.
I don't know if you could see it. There it is.
Oh.
Gotta see it. Yeah. So yeah, association is everything. Our brains are conditioned. Awesome. Glad you got that out of it, Jada.
Thank you.
And Ashley.
This is actually so funny to me because this morning I was like talking to my mom for a good hour, telling her how bad my habits are. And I just want to create good habits for myself. And I'm like, Mom, what are some good incentives that I can set for myself? Some good goals? Like, this could not have come at a better time. Amazing job, Tariq. This is exactly what I needed to hear. I love this. I love everything about this. So like the main takeaway for me is just like the goals, like what do I want to become? What do I need to do? So there's a lot of things. Obviously, I know Jacob touched a little bit on it, but I do a lot outside of Vector, and I'm just trying to figure out what are my goals for each thing? How can I be healthier and more productive with everything? So I won't go into everything, but it's definitely a great start in exactly what I needed to hear to get started on all those things and all those habits that I want to start creating. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm very happy that this came at a great time for you. But I mean, a huge thing when you're like you feel like you have a bad habit or anything like that, right? Or you have something in your schedule that is positive and you are like, oh, I really don't want to right now, right? Sometimes you're not going to have motivation all the time, right? That's a huge thing. But something that never fails to motivate me is just asking myself, what would future me wish I had done right now? Because future you is never going to wish that you laid in bed, right? Future you is going to wish that you got up and did whatever healthy action that was, whether it's meditating, whether it's getting a quick workout in, whether it's like driving to Tariq, or any of those good habits, right? Because that's going to benefit you in the future. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you giving me the time and your energy, because I know I had you guys doing activity as well, and I hope that you take a lot away from this. Love you, Carlos. Hope you guys take a lot away from this, and I am very, very excited to hear from you guys. We always say like post positives in the chat, right? So that can absolutely have to do with this, right? This can be like, this morning I got up, hit the Stairmaster, got a cold shower, and hopped on Champs, right? It could be really anything when it comes to those positives. We want to keep each other, we want to stack on each other as well, right? We want to be in a group of people that build each other up. So again, thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you guys got a real good value out of that one.
Woo! Let's give it up for Tariq. Awesome. Thank you, sir.